Hey y'all, Miss Brown here, your 7th grade Avid teacher, swimming with some jellyfish. How cute. Okay, so let's chat about 4th and 5th period Avid. Don't forget 7th period, we are a day ahead. Okay, so we are starting week 6 this week. So Tuesday, September 22nd, we finished up our tutorial word splash on Google Slides. So I'll kind of show you that to start, and then I will hop in and show you what we're going to do for today. Let me see where we went, y'all. Went to the wrong spot. Oh my gosh, look at that. Wish I could swim with some jellyfish, y'all. Okay, process tutorial notes. That's what I want. So y'all had to pull up your notes about tutorials. And then the goal is that you should be using your notes. You're going to process them. We did that last week. To find something, some kind of a theme or a process that you can relate the 10 steps of tutorial process to another real life thing. So for example, I'm not going to talk too much about that one, y'all, because that one wasn't my favorite example. So I'll talk about hiking, my hiking example, because I think that one's easier for me to explain. So tutorial word splash, you're going to select a theme that symbolizes the tutorial process. For example, baking a cake, preparing for a soccer game, building a house. And then you're going to relate each of the 10 tutorial steps to each of those steps in the tutorial process. So for example, taking a hike. Let me present so we can see it a little bigger. So taking a hike is kind of like the tutorial process because the first part of the tutorial process is identifying a question. So your first part, whenever it loads, of a hike is the initial question, where do we go? So the first step of tutorials is the initial question, and that relates to hiking because you ask, like, where do you want to go? Step 2 is the point of confusion in the tutorial process, and that relates to hiking because you're confused, like, how do you get there? Let's figure out how to hike from point A to point B. And then step 3 is the grouping process of tutorials. So this is similar to hiking when you set up your hiking groups. Usually you have like a strong hiker and somebody that maybe needs a little help. Step 4 is when you kind of do that synthesis, 60-second synthesis about your point of confusion. And this is like when you're hiking and you get somewhere and the trail's closed, and then you all brainstorm like, what can we do? What is our new kind of plan of attack? Or you discuss like, I wonder why the trail's closed. Why do you think it's closed? Step 5 is when you have academic conversation. So this is asking other hikers about the trail. You're walking, you're talking about the trail, you're using academic vocab. So maybe if you're a hiker, you're using the terms elevation or altitude or topographic map for my science people. And then step 6 is when you check for understanding. So step 6 is when you kind of figure out what you were confused about, and you go over that and you check, did I understand it? Did I get it? And that relates to checking the compass and the map. Step 7 is when you share out your resolution. So this is when you do that 60-second closing synthesis speech. So you're talking through the trail out loud, like, that went well, I liked this, these parts were good, I think this was a little too hard for me, this was too easy. And then step 8 is when you repeat steps 4 through 7. So the next presenter comes up and does the same thing. Well, you help a lost hiker, or you apply these steps to the next trail and you go on trail B and trail C, and you kind of take all the things you learned from your other steps and apply it. Then step 9 is summarizing. So maybe like you post on Instagram your trip, or you post it on Facebook, or you Snapchat it, or you sit down after when you're eating dinner and you kind of talk about your trip with your group mates or your hiking buddies. And then step 10 is when you apply. So this is when y'all take what you learned in tutorials back to class and be like a rock star, avid person and tell people that you know what's up, and then people are asking you questions. So that's when you apply it. So apply when you're lost in town. So like, let's say you're going somewhere, you're heading somewhere, you don't know where you're going, and you're like, oh, when I was lost hiking, I used a compass. Maybe I'll pull out my GPS. So you apply these skills that you learned into another situation. So it could be another hiking situation. It could be another trip. So this is what y'all are going to do. And we started this last week, but then we finished it up today, Tuesday, 9:22 in my 4th and 5th period. So now for Wednesday, 9:23, I'm going to show y'all what we are doing. So I have to hop back to my 7th period because I haven't transferred it over yet to my 8th grade class. My 4th and 5th period, 7th grade Avid classes. So what we did in my 7th period on Tuesday, 9:22, and what we are going to do in our 4th and 5th period on Wednesday, 9:23, is talk about the words commitment versus, hold on one sec. So right here, let me just talk about this first. So power up. Each day at the start, we have what you need to write down in your planner, what the essential question is, what you need to have out, and we did a quick check-in question. So the check-in question was, you're stuck in quarantine inside. What's one hobby that you can do every single day if you only could pick one? So I was joking with the kids, it's not like Rapunzel in Tangled when she goes through all the lists of things she does every day. You only get one thing to do. So then we did a quick Padlet on commitment versus compliance. So I wanted y'all to look up the definition, but then I wanted you to rephrase in your own words and tell me what commitment was versus what compliance is, and then what's the difference between the two. And then I won't talk about it too much because I want y'all to do it on your own, especially if you were absent. And then we class dojoed and picked out people to share. And then I even talked to the kids about, remember, you can change the post color, you can add GIFs, you can add images, you can add articles to kind of spice up your Padlet, which is pretty cool. So that's what we started off with. And then we did a quick write for 5 minutes. I think I'm going to change it to 3 minutes, though, for my other classes. And I want you to tell me all the things that you're committed about versus all the things you're compliant with. And once you look up the words, you'll realize there's a difference. And then number 2, why is it important to be committed in Avid, not just compliant? So you need to kind of think about what the two words mean. And if you're just doing something just to do it versus doing it because you want to do it, that's the main difference in Avid. It's advancement via individualized determination. So we can't want it more than y'all. So y'all got to be committed to this, not just compliant. And then I wanted y'all to do a Flipgrid. So we set up a Flipgrid. If I can hit return. So then we set up a Flipgrid, and there is a prompt on the Flipgrid for you. And you could have done it at home, or you could have done it the last few minutes of class. And then I popped Miss Richards' recording in there for you because she did a little recording about what we did. So Avid student role for tutorials is what I want you to do for Flipgrid. So you're going to do your commitment statement. So once it loads, you are going to review the Avid student roles and expectations above, and then you're going to use this sentence frame to do a quick Flipgrid. So they all should have the same exact sentence frame, and you're just plugging in what you think. So here's the Avid student expectations, and you are going to use this statement or sentence stem. As an Avid student, my role is to blank. I will commit to blank, and during tutorials because blank, and then my Avid family can help me stick to my commitment by blank. So you literally will have this open and you'll be filling in the blanks. Hit join with Google. This is Miss Richards' grid because we're sharing it. So you just pop your answers in there and we'll be able to see them. And that's all we did, y'all, for 7th period, Tuesday, 9:22, and 4th and 5th period, Wednesday, 9:23. Y'all fill my buckets each and every day. Happy Wednesday, and I'll see y'all later.